Hello, everyone, and welcome to Spirit School. I am so excited to bring you your July Spirit messages for July 2021. June was a pretty phenomenal month for me. It was definitely busy. I know Gemini season was a little bit tough on people. A lot of people were very grateful for the nurturing Cancer season to start, me included. But there was a lot of beautiful things that occurred in June for me personally and in my business. Of course, if you follow me on Instagram, which I hope you do, as Squamish Medium, you'll see that my podcast has finally reached 100,000 downloads. So I had to just spend a minute here saying thank you to you guys for being such loyal listeners of the podcast, for binge listening and downloading. I will be honest with you. I honestly never expected this podcast to reach 100,000 downloads or be this popular. So I am completely humbled and honored, and I really, really, really appreciate it. And also just want to say too, with June, we had an amazing turnout for the initiation. We had 58 women from around the world sign up for this latest experience, which I'm so excited about. And thanks to all these women, I donated a portion of the funds received from the initiation to the Indian Residential Survivor School Society. Of course, as you probably know, in Canada, they are finding mass graves at the residential schools, and I am an intergenerational survivor. And I did spend quite a few years working in the Indigenous health and healing industry. So this is something that is very close to my heart. And I can only imagine how this is affecting some of my old colleagues. And, I think about all the amazing people I met when I was working out in community. And I just want to do whatever I can to help ease that pain as these discoveries are being made. And Canada will have to be reconciling once again, not just the cultural genocide, but the actual genocide that has occurred in Canada up until just a few decades ago. So I'm happy to report that we have made a donation of over $1,300 to the IRSSSS. I will link their website below so that you can see their amazing work that they're doing. And yes, so I just wanted to say that I was very happy to be inspired to do that with part of my earnings. I definitely intend to do more of that in the future. So, yeah, so there was that. And it's just been for me an overall expansive month of June. I did receive quite a few messages from you guys that the June spirit messages was accurate for you, which is always great to hear. So we're just going to kind of tune in to see what July will bring. I'm going to be using the Psychic Tarot deck with John Holland. I have asked him to come on the podcast. He did not say no. I will say that he did not say no. He is currently writing something right now. And so he said he'll hold on to it until his writing deadlines have passed. And so I am hopeful John Holland will eventually be a guest here. And I'm also very excited that I have finally managed to snag my favorite medium in the whole world, Aboriginal medium Sean Leonard. So we have a date inked in. And I was so blessed because he actually reached out to me to say, hey, last year you wanted me to come on your podcast. Let's do it this year. And I was so excited, so honored. So we have a date booked in early September. So this will be the highlight of my career. He's my absolute favorite medium in the entire world. And obviously, he's First Nations and one of the only role models I have out there in my culture of somebody who's doing the spirit talking work. So, very excited for that. So, a lot of great things this month. I mean, I'm just like riding it and feeling so good. I hope you guys are too. So, when I tuned into the energy of July earlier, the word that kept coming over and over and over again was courage, 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 over and over and over again. And it's been making me very aware of how long I let fear run my life. And I talk a lot about fear and overcoming fear on this podcast because this is a big part of my life story. And of course, I can only serve based off of the experiences that I have embodied in my life. And so, Spirit is really making me aware that it is a time of courage. And I know through experience, and I feel very inspired to say that we can't wait until we're not scared to do something that courage is calling us to do, because we'll be waiting forever for that day. And I have seen time and time again, even through the initiation, I have tons of people who have joined, have never had a mediumistic experience, are just following their curiosities. And the same thing is said over and over and over again. I can't believe it. I surprised myself. And so I'm witnessing this week, and of course, like heading into July, 58 women who are stepping through courage and just saying F it and just trying it anyways and seeing what happens. And more people are saying that they surprise themselves. So I know that there is magic on the other side of that fear. And of course, spirit is really saying at the time where the sun is shining at its brightest up here in the northern hemisphere, like fearlessly shining bright without any shame, without any, you know, darkening anyone else. It's illuminating everything. It is a good time to start making some of these courageous moves. And so, if it helps somebody out there to understand and realize that there will never be a time that comes that you wait for the fear to subside, or you wait for the absolute signs that like XYZ should happen because I received this sign, it may never come. Spirit and our own spirits will ask us to call upon our own personal power to make some of these shifts and moves. And so July is going to be a very optimal time in the cosmos and in the energies for you to make some of these moves. So do know that that comes very clearly as part of this. Now, I do feel that I, I don't know if like a lot of my listeners just found out they were pregnant or a lot of babies are going to be had. But when I pull the fertility card, typically the business person in me wants to talk about like business ideas being born. And there may be some of that too. But for some reason, I think that there's going to be a lot of spirit school listener, either pregnancies or births in July. So that is going to be absolutely hilarious. This is getting quite literal here. Do keep in mind that if there is like ideas around business, but I am leaning more towards honestly like family growth. And so this could be new relationships, whether it's a child coming through or new relationships kind of coming into your life, partners. Or even I feel very much like saying like a heightened and more in-depth experience with partners. So a deepening of a relationship as well. There's a lot like the seeds were planted long ago and now things are actually starting to come out. And I do feel very much I want to talk about relationships with this and babies. So that will be very incredible as well. And then spirit is also just reminding through this card. I'm just holding it up. If you hear me on the podcast, I post these on YouTube as well. So you're getting the video version as well. But there's always this reminder to be patient, right? And I do feel like even in summer, I feel like we're more active, we're more out there, but I also feel like we do move a little bit slower. So you think about like leaving and going to the beach. Like, yes, we're out and about, we're out in nature, but we're really just kind of like sitting and enjoying everything that's around us. So spirit is asking us to be very in the moment in the month of July, if we can even practice presence as a priority, like just stopping. And yes, we all have dreams. Yes, we all have goals and we have massive to do lists this day and age more than probably ever before. And we're overwhelmed with tons of information and just like way overstimulated. Spirit is asking us to just take a breath and just notice our surroundings. Just notice who we're choosing to spend our time with and just noticing where we chose to live and really be present within that moment. And that will be a great exercise of patience as we are in the hotter summer months of July. Of course, I have so many listeners down under Australia. My podcast does so well in Australia. And I know you guys are in the winter solstice you just had in the return of the sun. So I just wanted to acknowledge that as well. It's a huge month for confidence. We're getting all black border cards here, and this is the second three card, three being one of the most powerful numbers. This, again, if we talk about courage, courage comes with confidence. So it's almost like they're synonymous and they need to work together. It's like you can't wait for the courage to be confident. You can't wait for the confidence to be courage. It's like you do one and the other comes by way of doing it. So if you're somebody who has been looking for more self-confidence, do something courageous. Do something that scares you and the confidence will come. Same with if you want to do something courageous, tap into the confidence that you do have. And I've given this advice out a lot lately, but a lot of our lack of confidence is because we're liars to ourselves. We make all these grand promises to ourselves that we typically never keep. And so, one of the quickest ways that we can build our confidence and our trust within ourselves again is to just make commitments to ourselves that we actually keep. So instead of making a grand gesture, like I'm going to lose 30 pounds, maybe just simply make a deal with yourself. I'm going to exercise 5 days this week. or 2 meals of my day are going to be conscious and they're going to be mindful. And just start making these little micro promises to yourself that you actually keep. And that is going to be an incredible way for you to build your confidence and your trust in yourself again, because this is a very optimal time for the confidence to be built. I also very excitedly just pulled the power card, which kind of validates and speaks, a heightened experience to what I was just talking about. This being like a real big month of like courage and self confidence. Look at this. I mean, this is the ultimate Leo card. But I am drawn to the eight, and eight for me is always a money or financial number, and a money around finances. And then with that, following that, I pull the root chakra card, which is all about safety and security. So for some of us, we may not be feeling as safe and secure as we want, but what spirit is really encouraging me to say around this is acknowledging how safe and financially secure you actually are. Like if you were to compare where you are today to where you are a few years ago, you're likely probably in a better and more secure place and stable place than you once were. And so, one of the ways that we can start to build the confidence and that root chakra, I'm safe, I'm secure, I'm protected, I'm grounded, is reflecting and acknowledging how far we've come. We're used to being an instant gratification civilization where we're always looking at that next thing. We don't often realize that where we are today is where we wanted to be just not that long ago. So, part of this courage is also reflecting and acknowledging how far you have come. And then it's good to dream about what's still to come and trust that it is going to come to you, because everything that you have tried to manifest has already shown up. And I know that's going to resonate with a lot of people who are there. So I just pulled another card to validate too that this is also around finances. And I feel very much, I don't know if people out there, so my assistant had this and I have this for years, where I kept seeing the number 808. And just as I'm talking about this, I'm seeing those numbers flash in my mind. So 808 is always significant of being more mindful and conscious with your money. So it's not about like saving and hoarding, because that's also like kind of a scarcity mindset. It is about spending, but it's about spending consciously. It's about spending for the betterment of your life. So it's not just being frivolous with it, it's about being intentional with it. I will say that I have found I used to be very financially insecure, and I was not very good with finances, and I was not well off. And I wouldn't say I'm rich by any means now, but I have learned how to manifest money. I will teach this in some way, shape, or form eventually, as I'm trying to work out what the heck I've done to kind of like manifest the life that I've had. But I did get the number 808, which I'm giving to you guys out there who may resonate with this message, at a time when I was purchasing things as a way to fill a void, or as buying things and spending my money as a way to bring this dopamine hit and this happiness to me that I was not finding from within myself. So, what I want to say here is that it's okay to spend money and it's okay to buy things that enhance your life experience, but you have to be very intentional with it, that you're not filling a void, that you're not buying it because you're unhappy. You're buying it to just enhance this experience, and more tends to come. So I have found in my business in particular that the more money I invest in my business, it's almost like the more that comes in. I was so scared to invest in my first website, but then like money came right away that more than compensated for that. When hired my assistant last year, I was so scared because I was only a month into my full-time practice. And the month I hired her was actually less. I made less than I made in my corporate job, but I needed help and I knew that. But it was so scary for me to invest in that. And it took me about 6 or 7 months to be able to utilize Danielle, my assistant, to the best of her abilities and assist me in the greatest way. And financially, I have more than made up for that. So I do know that when you're intentional with investing in yourself, investing in the quality of your life, it gets better and things get, and more continues to come. But if we're spending because of lack, because we're lacking happiness, we're lacking joy in our lives, it does the opposite of that. We just watch it go down and down and down and down and down. And so I feel like this is going to be something that will resonate with people as well. So I'll just pull a couple more cards here. I have a little jumper card. So there's a lot of people who are in their minds. There's a lot of people who I feel are depleting themselves through the internal dialogue. And so we all have internal dialogue. I know that we do. And this is something I've also talked a lot about through these spirit messages. But there is a point when it comes to the internal voice when it depletes our energy. So I just want you to be aware and conscious this month, if you can, on the mental chatter that's within your mind. And is it energizing you or is it depleting you of your energy? And if it's depleting you of your energy, you need a mindset like makeup shift. Like you got to shift the mindset overall. Because I do have internal dialogues, of course. I think that we all do, but some of mine are very uplifting and expansive to the point where sometimes like a little bit of shame comes up because I'm like, ooh, am I conceited from thinking about this? Or am I like selfish for thinking this? And those are like old feminine wounds that kind of come up that also need to be healed. But I do have internal dialogue that is supportive, expansive, and really helps heighten my human experience. And then there's the internal dialogue that is depleting, makes you feel small, can ignite like a little bit of situational depression. So just be very conscious and mindful of that internal chatter and see if it's supporting you or if it's not. And if it's not supporting you, just make different changes and different um, choices in how you speak to yourself. Easier said than done, but it's all habit. It's all just habit. Okay. So it's definitely going to be a month of self development and self growth. I think that's a real big key to the messages that we have here this month. So, this is going to be a month of awareness, understanding where you're at, awareness without judgment. So, when we become aware, we don't always want to like point blame or try to find the source cause. We just need to be aware that it's happening. And sometimes that awareness is enough to shift and make shifts in your life, but sometimes it does require a little bit more work. I pulled the heart chakra card because I feel like the awareness and the healing through the awareness will come through the heart chakra. But it's also going to be a month of courage. It's going to be a month of self confidence building. Take in some of the advice and some of the tips that I mentioned when it comes to building your self confidence and walking through courage. I would love to hear something that you do that's courageous this month, and it could be super small. My ladies in the initiation just signed up for a practice reading. They put themselves out there, and it's scary as hell to put yourselves out there. I'm telling you, I remember those first few readings, and I remember being in a development class where I think it was like our fifth class that she had us do our first practice readings. And I'm throwing these women in day one. You got your partners, just talk, just see what comes through. Just pay attention to your thoughts, just pay attention to your emotions, and just say whatever you're receiving without fear of being wrong. Let yourself be wrong so that you know what right feels like. And that takes tremendous courage to be able to walk through that and to do that. But the courage pays off because it increases our self confidence, it raises our vibrations, we become more expansive beings. And we don't actually understand or comprehend how walking through that courage and doing things that helps build our self-esteem actually creates this extremely positive ripple effect in the rest of our lives, not just our relationships, but the choices that we make. Does this choice bring me joy or is it going to deplete me in energy? Am I pleasing somebody by saying yes to this? Or am I going to honor myself and say yes to me as a way to trust myself? I can trust me. I can trust that I'm going to make the best decisions for myself. I am confident in that. And when we start to build that confidence, we start to really see magic in our lives because we know who we are and we're doing this life for us. So, a lot of us, it's going to be a lot of unlearning, a lot of deconditioning, and a lot of self growth and self development. So, I hope that these messages resonate with you for the month of July. Would love to hear if it does. Thank you for leaving a review. Thank you for downloading. And I just want to celebrate all of you. Thank you for 100,000 downloads, blowing my mind. Just so much joy. I exceeded all expectations. And I'm just so grateful for every single listener, every DM I get telling me that the podcast makes any positive changes in your life or any positive reflections in your life. I'm just so incredibly honored. So thank you. And right now, I have nothing going on. There's no way to work with me at this very moment. But I do just want to give you a heads up that I am working. I have such an overwhelming amount of people who want one on one mentoring that I am going to be starting in September some pod learning. So, really small group learning weekly. It's going to be a 6-on-1 experience. I'm going to have a beginner, intermediate, and advanced. I'm going to be having an advanced group pod learning 2-month containers, 6-on-1, and it's going to be about working with the public. So this is going to be like next level. Okay, I'm comfortable with my mediumship. I'm out there serving. I want to deepen my skill set and my abilities on working with the public. So I'm going to be creating all this. I'll have applications up to apply to be part of these little learning pods in August at some point, but I'm very, very excited for that. And so, yeah, I'm just trying to create ideas so that I can serve as many people at once and people don't have to wait as long to work with me. And I'm really excited for what's coming this fall. So for now, also just know I'm planning a retreat for October 2022 in Squamish, looking at a bunch of sites. There are so many people interested in this retreat. It's going to be cultural experience as well. It's going to be mediumship development, intuitive development, and we're going to have a whole day of cultural experience. We're going to have a cultural tour, drum making. We're going to have storytelling by a local knowledge keeper. It's going to be incredible, expansive experience. So that's going to be coming too. So I'm working on a ton of things. I promise you, I'm trying to find all these different ways that more people can work with me. But for now, you got my podcast, you got YouTube, check me out on Instagram. And I just wish you the happiest and most joyful July. See you guys next time.